There's something oddly intimate about a messy room. It isn't just dust on the shelf or clothes on a chair. It's a diary written in objects, a dream you haven't fully woken from. And if you don't like cleaning, if the very thought of organizing the universe into little labeled boxes drains your spirit, let's not rush to pathologize it. Let's be curious, like Carl Jung would be, and ask, what is your home trying to say about your inner life? In Jungian language, the house is a living symbol of the psyche. The basement holds the shadow, the feelings you've tucked away because they didn't seem convenient or polite. The living room is persona, the space you present when guests arrive, candle-lit, mask in place. The bedroom is the soul's inwardness, and the desk, that restless altar where ideas gather, is your creative function teasing you into becoming. When the rooms grow untidy, it doesn't automatically mean you're lazy or broken. It may mean you're in a season of becoming, where life pours in faster than categories can hold. People who resist cleaning often carry gifts that the culture underestimates. You might be high in divergent thinking, able to generate multiple answers where others see just one. You might sense possibility everywhere, so many threads to follow that folding towels is like pausing a symphony mid-chorus. You could be unusually sensitive to novelty and meaning, attuned to patterns, images and symbols. Jung would call this the land of the creative function. Intuition playing with the raw clay of experience, making forms the conscious mind hasn't named yet. And yes, such people are frequently kind because they notice the invisible. They feel the world as a delicate fabric, and their attention is spent protecting it. Mess can also be the psyche's honest weather report. Order requires energy, and energy follows value. If your room stays cluttered, it might be because your life force is currently pledged to an idea, a calling, a conversation with the self below the surface. To scrub the counters in those moments can feel like betraying a pilgrimage. That doesn't make you wrong. It makes you truthful. Your libido, Jung's word for psychic energy, has voted. Of course, there's the other voice, the inner critic, often wearing your parents' or teachers' faces, repeating that a tidy room equals moral virtue and disorder equals failure. But the critic rarely asks why the mess exists. It only demands it disappear. Jung would invite us to dialogue with it. What are you protecting, you ask the inner parent. What are you afraid will happen if I live a little more from my depths? And then ask the mess too. What are you showing me that I'm not yet willing to see? Sometimes the pile of books is simply a pile of books. Sometimes it's an altar to a new identity quietly forming. There's also a gentler truth. Some souls move in rhythms, not schedules. You clean like the tide, intensely, then not at all, because your psyche prefers cycles over checklists. You may enter flow so deeply that time dissolves. To interrupt that current for vacuum lines in the carpet feels like leaving a cathedral mid-prayer. Is that a flaw? Or is it evidence that your inner life is vividly alive? Many inventors, artists, and healers share this trait. They tolerate temporary external chaos while building a profound inner coherence. Let's name more of your strengths so shame loosens its grip. You likely possess high curiosity, a gift for pattern recognition, comfort with ambiguity, intuitive prioritization. What truly matters receives your best. Big picture vision and empathy that makes you linger with people rather than polish countertops. You probably improvise well. You adapt fast. You can sit with unfinished processes without panicking, an underrated spiritual muscle in a culture addicted to control. Does this mean the mess is always sacred? No. Sometimes it signals fatigue, grief, or avoidance. But even then, the clutter isn't evidence you're failing, it's evidence you're honest about where you are. Jung didn't ask us to choose between order and chaos. He asked us to hold the tension until a third thing was born, a living arrangement between the part of you that creates storms and the part that lights a candle after. If your house is a mirror, don't smash the mirror. Learn to read it. There's meaning in the unfolded laundry, poetry in the half-started projects, a myth unfolding across the floorboards. Before you reach for the broom, reach for the symbol. What season am I in? What is ripening? What wishes to be born through me, and how is my environment telling that story out loud? Let's linger with the symbols a little longer. In Jung's map, clutter is not merely matter. It's memory. Objects become time made visible, each item a tiny complex orbiting a forgotten sun. That stack of unopened mail, the coat you never wear, the notebook with 3 electric sentences, and then silence. Each is a psychic fragment saying, "I'm not done speaking." Dislike of cleaning can therefore signal a refusal to perform amnesia on oneself. Tidying too soon can feel like erasing unfinished dreams, sanding down the texture of a life that wants to remain plural, open, still becoming. Notice how persona and shadow negotiate in a home. The visible rooms often carry the persona's wish. Let me be coherent, likable, clear. The hidden closets store the shadow's rebuttal. I am many. The friction between them produces mess, not as failure, but as weather where opposite winds meet. For some temperaments, especially intuitive or imaginative types, this weather is creative oxygen. They metabolize ambiguity the way others metabolize rules. The mess is not random, it is polyphonic. It says, I contain contradictions, and I will not compress them prematurely. There's also the Senex pure rhythm, the archetypal elder, Senex, who wants structure, and the eternal youth, pure, who wants sky. A chronic aversion to cleaning may reveal strong, pure energy, a psyche drawn to horizons, symbols, beginnings. The Senex whispers of discipline and bones, the pure hears birds. If the Senex dominates, life becomes sterile order. If the pure dominates, life becomes scattered aeration. The psyche seeks a living tension, yet some seasons rightfully belong to the pure, when the world must be allowed to sprawl while something subtle assembles itself behind the scenes. Consider boundaries. A room that resists ordering can mirror a nervous system that is exquisitely permeable. Highly empathetic people absorb atmospheres. Objects accumulate as if to buffer intensity, to add thickness to the air. What looks like procrastination might be the body's way of slowing encounters with the world. Jung would not scold the symptom. He would ask what intelligence it carries. Perhaps the mess is a membrane, porous enough to breathe, dense enough to protect a sensitivity that does not show on the surface. Shame haunts messy spaces because shame hates plurality. Shame wants a single presentable self. Clutter insists on a chorus. When shame is activated, the gaze becomes punitive. Every object turns into a witness for the prosecution. But when the gaze softens, objects re-symbolize. They become emissaries from the unconscious, artifacts of longing rather than evidence of defect. Many who dislike cleaning possess the gift of re-enchantment, the capacity to feel life in things. They hesitate to sterilize a space because they can hear its music. There is also grief. Mess often sediments where life has changed faster than language. A relationship ended, a vocation shifted, an identity molted. The psyche scatters tokens when a chapter closes, but cannot yet be named. Cleaning would be a kind of burial, the refusal to clean, a wake that has no words. and there is desire. Some mess is erotic, charged, generative, suggestive of futures not yet confessed. To keep it is to keep the cauldron warm. So if you recoil from cleaning, it may say you are faithful to multiplicity, allergic to premature conclusions, oriented to symbols over surfaces, sensitive to atmospheres, and more in love with becoming than with display. Not defective, different, not chaotic, mythic. If this felt like a mirror, give this video a like and subscribe to Fractal Wisdom for more soul-wise psychology. Share this with someone who needs a gentler story about themselves. Share in the comments. When you look at your mess, what do you think it's protecting or growing in you right now? Remember, your home isn't a test you pass. It's the poem of your becoming reading itself out loud.